Most people think that all the best hikes in New Zealand are down south, but after spending nearly 3 weeks traveling the North Island in our camper van, I can tell you one thing. The North has some of the most surprising landscapes in the whole country. Massive volcanoes, emerald lakes, steaming geothermal valleys and ancient forests, all packed way closer together than you would expect. We tried to tramp as much as possible and our legs definitely felt it, but a few weeks is still not enough to see everything, so this video is all about the best hikes we actually managed to do during our trip. To make it easier to follow, I've grouped the hikes by region, so this isn't a worst to best ranking, but my favorite areas of the island ended up toward the end, so make sure to stick around until the end of the video. And along with the bigger trails, you will also see a few short walks, scenic lookouts and quick waterfall stops. They are fast, fun and perfect for building out your own North Island itinerary, so I decided to include them as well. If you're planning a road trip around the North Island, this list will make your life a lot easier and save you hours of guessing which hikes are worth it. So here are the 25 best hikes we explored in northern New Zealand. Let's get into it. Mount Eden was our first stop in Auckland, and we went there as soon as we got picked up from the airport by our friends. It turned out to be a perfect introduction to the city. From the summit, you can see the volcanic crater and almost the entire Auckland skyline. So we have just arrived to Auckland. This is our first stop, Mount Eden. Beautiful volcano with a crater overlooking the whole city. This one's 196 meters. I'm gonna take some beautiful sunsets photo from this spot. Long before Europeans arrived, this mountain was fortified pa for Tamaki Maori, a citadel built for thousands of inhabitants, full of terraced earthworks and storage pits. The crater even has a name, Te Ipu Amataho, meaning the football of Mataho, which is a powerful deity in the Maori tradition. Today there's a boardwalk around the summit rim and the views are spectacular. You can look out over Auckland's popular attractions including the Sky Tower, the Auckland Harbour Bridge, the Waitakere Ranges, Auckland City Centre and the other volcanic cones that dot the skyline. Watching the sunset from up here set the tone for the rest of our trip and it was a perfect introduction to Auckland. On our second morning in Auckland, we ditched the big city plans and headed out west to Kitekite Falls, deep in the Waitakere Ranges. The walk itself is pretty gentle and is roughly 3-kilometer return. Despite being so accessible, it feels remote. You're surrounded by towering kauri trees, nikau palms and regenerating forest. When you reach the falls, you met with a stunning 3-tiered cascade plunging about 40 meters in total. There's a history here too. In the early 20th century, a dam was built above the falls to help transport kauri logs. But today, the rainforest is regenerating and efforts to protect the kauri trees are real. Trail has boardwalks and shoe cleaning station to help prevent the spread of kauri dieback disease. During our 20 days traveling around the North Island of New Zealand, we saw lots of waterfalls, but Karekare Falls was definitely the one that stayed with me the most. It became my favorite almost instantly. The walk is quick and easy and takes only a few minutes. Even so, it feels like you have stepped into a quiet pocket of forest. The waterfall itself is beautiful. It drops about 30 meters and flows into a scenic pool. The wider Karekare area is also known for its dramatic scenery and was used as a location in the film The Piano. If you are spending time in Waitakere Ranges, make sure you stop here. It is a beautiful and very accessible waterfall that deserves a place on any North Island itinerary. We decided that the dinner will be Karekare today. Everybody agrees with that conclusion?
Karekare with rice.
Karekare with baguan and rice for dinner. After visiting the waterfalls, visiting the Piha Beach is a perfect way to round out your time in the area. This is exactly what we did, and it felt like stepping into one of New Zealand's most iconic coastal scenes with its dark sand, strong surf and a towering lion rock rising from the center. The whole beach feels wild and cinematic. If you walk far enough down the beach, you will reach the Keyhole Tunnel, a fun detour with the great views of the unique cliffs around you. If you are already out this way, Piha Beach is an absolute must-see spot. If you are already exploring the west coast, make sure to also stop at the Muriwai Gannet colony. This place completely surprised me. You walk along an easy coastal track and suddenly you are standing above hundreds of gannets nesting on the cliffs with the waves crashing below. The views are wild and dramatic and the birds are incredible to watch up close. It's one of those spots where you think you will stay for 5 minutes and end up staying for at least half an hour because there's so much happening. So if you are visiting Waitakere area, this spot is an absolutely worth adding to your list.
Dramatic content.
Now we are moving into the Waitomo area and the western side of the Waikato region. This is a great second area to explore if you are driving the North Island in an anti-clockwise direction. One of the quietest spots here is the Waitanguru Falls, located west from Piopio along the Mangotaki road. The walk to the falls is super easy, only about 15-minute return with a well-graded track and stairs that lead you down to a viewing platform. The waterfall is around 15 meters high and flows gently over the rock face. It is not a big or famous waterfall, but it has a peaceful charm and feels like a real local gem. Marokopa Falls, located west of the famous Waitomo Caves, is one of the most impressive waterfalls in the region. The walk is short and simple, about 15 minutes return, and it takes you through a native forest straight to a viewing platform, which is the only place to see a waterfall, as I haven't seen any trail to the base of the falls. Marokopa Falls is not the tallest waterfall in the North Island, but is definitely the widest one I saw during our whole 3-week trip. The entire curtain of water drops over a broad rock face and creates a deep, steady roar that you can hear long before you reach the viewing platform. Not too far from Marokopa Falls, you will find the Piripiri Cave Walk, a very short but atmospheric walk through a native bush, past limestone outcrops and then down some stairs to the cave. Inside the cave it gets dark very quickly, so make sure to bring a torch. The stairs can be muddy and slippery, so decent shoes are definitely a good idea. The cave ceiling is made of limestone and there are even fossilized oyster beds if you pause and look closely. It is a quiet, atmospheric place, perfect for a quick detour when you're already driving out from Waitomo. If you like caves but don't want a big guided tour, Piripiri is a quick and really rewarding stop. Our final stop for the day along the Te Anga Road was Mangapohue Natural Bridge, and we decided right away to hang around after dark so we could see the glowworms. But before the sun went down, we explored the area in daylight and it was breathtaking. The short walk leads through a narrow gorge of limestone cliffs with a stream running through the gap and rock walls towering above you on both sides. We paused by the water's edge and saw eels weaving in and out of the stream. The bridge itself is formed from an ancient cave the river cuts through, creating a tunnel you can walk over and peer down into. When the darkness finally arrived, the whole canyon lit up. The glowworms were everywhere, not just overhead. Both sides of the canyon walls were dotted with lights and you can stand very close to them. It was a perfect way to end the day and is easily one of the most memorable spots around the Te Anga Road. Our next stop is Mount Paku, a small summit above Tairua that offers one of the best panoramic viewpoints on the Coromandel coast, and it is one of those short walks that gives you a massive reward for a very little effort. Mount Paku was once a standalone volcanic island. About 20,000 years ago, rising sea levels connected it to the mainland by drowning the old valleys and allowing them to silt up. What you see today is the remains of an old rhyolite dome left behind after the softer volcanic material eroded away. When you look at it from the beach, you can still imagine its original cone shape. The walk itself only takes about 20 minutes, but the views from the top are incredible. You can see the beautiful Pauanui beach and the town of Pauanui, the entire Tairua harbor with the long white sand coastline and the small islands scattered across the bay. It is a perfect spot to catch sunrise or sunset, and a great quick adventure to add to your Coromandel itinerary. During our visit to Coromandel Peninsula, we spent 2 nights at the Piha Beach Resort, and if you are staying here, the Cathedral Cove walk is something you should not miss. The area has a few ways to reach the trailhead. During the busy season, there's usually a shuttle that runs from Piha village up to the start of the track. Some people also choose to park at private driveways that local homeowners offer. There's also the water taxi option from Piha Beach. It is the quickest and most scenic way to get directly to the cove, but it is also the most expensive at around $40 one way. Once you're on the trail, it is a beautiful coastal walk with clear views over the cliffs and the surrounding islands offshore. It eventually leads you down to Cathedral Cove, one of the most iconic natural arches in New Zealand. Cathedral Cove's dramatic rock formations come from the volcanic activity. The cliffs are not made of sandstone but ignimbrite, which is welded volcanic ash and pumice. Over time, the sea has eroded softer parts of the rock, cutting out beautiful sea caves and eventually forming the iconic arch that frames the cove. The Pinnacles track was our first big hike in North New Zealand. We stayed at one of the DOC campsites close to the trailhead, which made it really easy to get an early start. Most people do this walk as an overnight trip and stay in a hut near the summit, but the distance is very manageable in a single day if you start early. The trail climbs steadily through lush native forest and follows old pack horse routes that were once used during the kauri logging days. There are lots of long sections with hundreds of stairs, swing bridges, and small waterfalls along the way. When we reached the hut, the weather started changing really fast. One of the rangers there told us if we wanted to make to the summit, we should really go straight away. So we had the quickest lunch ever, threw on our rain jackets and rain pants, and started the final climb. We were incredibly lucky to reach the top just before the rain arrived, because the last section is very steep and those rocks must get extremely slippery in wet conditions.
Made it to the summit against all odds, but we're here. First summit in Northern New Zealand. Now you're ready for Tongariro.
Reaching the top is worth every step. The views stretch across the whole Coromandel range and the landscape feels ancient, shaped by volcanic activity and centuries of erosion. It was the perfect first big adventure of our North Island trip. On the way down it started pouring, but since about 80% of the trail runs under tree cover, the rain never felt too bad.
So this is the second time we're stopping here. We are on the way out of the Coromandel. This is the best coffee that we had so far in the northern New Zealand. What's the location here?
So Prescott's Garage.
Prescott's Garage.
Yeah.
Okay.
1 Higawai Settlement Road.
Coffee beans are called roastery
From Coffee Lala.
Coffee Lala.
Yeah. Outside Fitty, they roast on the Coromandel.
Okay, wonderful. So we have our coffee, we have our fuel, so we're ready to go. We're heading towards the Rotorua.
The Aukeke track is short and really peaceful loop walk through thick forest near Lake Okataina. We originally planned to do this trail after sunset to see the glowworms, but the car park rules require all vehicles to be gone by 7:45, so we visited in daylight only. The track is short and easy, leading through dense native forest with towering trees and ferns. The waterfall itself is a wide, multi-tiered cascade dropping around 10 meters over dark, moss-covered rock and framed by thick vegetation on all sides. And even without glowworms, it is a peaceful spot that gives you a nice taste of area's natural beauty. The Redwood Memorial Grove Walk starts from the same place as the Redwoods Tree Walk. We decided to skip the tree walk on this trip. It seems a little touristy for us during the day, but I would absolutely do it at night. The walkway lights up after dark, and walking on the glowing redwood trunks would be unreal. Memorial Grove Trail leads you through peaceful forest past some of the tallest trees in the park. Along the way we stopped by Redwood altitude and continued onto the Tokorangi path track, which brings in a touch of local history before looping back to where we started. The track has a calm spiritual feel. These trees have been here for generations and some of the tallest trees in the forest reach around 72 meters in height. The forest floor is carpeted in ferns, the redwoods tower overhead, and the light filtering through the branches gives everything a beautiful soft green glow. Blue Springs, or the Te Waiho walkway, is about 40-minute drive from Rotorua, and we visited on one of the mornings before our Kaituna rafting trip in the early afternoon. We started from the popular Leslie Road car park, which is definitely the busier option and usually full of visitors. The trail follows the river and you can walk as far as you like. There is no need to continue all the way to the White Road car park unless you want to get the longer version. The water here is incredibly clear with that unreal blue color that makes the place so famous. Huka Falls is a fantastic quick stop when you're leaving Rotorua and heading toward Tongariro. It is one of the most powerful and thrilling natural sites in the region and very easy to access. The main viewing platform is just a short walk from the car park, and from there you stand right above the canyon where the river squeezes through and explodes into foam. If you want a slightly different perspective, there's another lookout a little higher up. From there you can see the falls from above and take in how the river twists and turns before it hits the drop. It is a great way to appreciate both the scale and the force of Huka Falls. One of the main highlights of our stay in Rotorua was hiking Mount Taranaki. The only way to reach the summit is with the Kaitaki Adventures guided tour. You can't just go there on your own. And honestly, it's totally worth it. After our rafting trip on the Kaituna River, this hike was another adrenaline-filled highlight. We were lucky with the perfect weather, sunny skies, moderate wind, and amazing visibility. The volcanic landscape makes the walk really fun, with ridges and craters shaped by the 1886 eruption. The most fun moment of the hike was running down the scree into the crater. Sliding down the volcanic gravel was an adrenaline rush like nothing else. With the volcanic scenery, amazing views, and great stories from our guide, hiking Mount Taranaki is an adventure that will stay with you for a long time.
Success.
Walking through Wai-O-Tapu Thermal Wonderland was one of the coolest geothermal experiences we had in New Zealand. While there are multiple geothermal parks around Rotorua, Wai-O-Tapu really stood out for me. It felt less commercial and I was really drawn to the famous champagne pool. We did the full walk, taking one of the longer loops all the way to the end, and it was totally worth it. When we reached Champagne Pool, it did not disappoint. The rim is bright orange thanks to mineral deposits, and the water bubbles from the carbon dioxide gases. That's where it gets the name Champagne Pool. Along the rest of the walk we saw other geothermal features. The final part of our walk took us to Lake Ngakoro, which is this surreal green lake forming a volcanic crater. Wai-O-Tapu felt like a natural art installation carved by the earth itself. Our first hike in Egmont National Park started right from the Dawson's Falls Visitor Center camping area where we had stayed the night before. The Visitor Center is full of great information, but it happened to be closed when we arrived, so we set off early without stopping inside. The trail to Wilkie's Pools goes through a really unique goblin forest. Kamahi trees here don't grow tall and straight, instead they twist sideways and branch out low with thick moss hanging from almost every limb. It creates a dense green tunnel that feels incredibly mysterious. As you go, you follow the Kapuni stream until you reach Wilkie's Pools, which are a series of natural rock slides and basins carved into the lava from old eruptions. The water here is crystal clear and absolutely freezing, but with no showers at camp, that became my wash for the day. After cooling off, we climbed a little above the main pool and found a small waterfall and a set of beautiful high rock pools that many people miss. From there we continued toward Dawson's Falls, following the track through the labyrinth of moss-covered forest. Dawson's Falls is a stunning sight with water plunging into the gorge below, creating a constant mist that drifts through the trees. To finish the loop, we took the Kapuni track back to the campsite. Overall, it was an easy and relaxing hike and perfect introduction to the stunning nature of Egmont National Park. This was my second hike in Egmont National Park, and we spent the night up the Stratford Plateau Car Park, easily my favorite campsites of the whole trip. I timed this walk for the late evening when the car park had emptied out and the whole place felt incredibly moody. The trail climbs from the Plateau Car Park, passes through alpine vegetation and leads through the tunnel to a 100-meter suspension bridge that hangs roughly 50 meters over the massive gorge floor. The bridge balustrade panels are beautifully designed by Ngati Ruanui and depict different phases of avalanches, which feels especially fitting given how dramatic the gorge is. From there, the trail climbs toward Manganui ski area, home to the Stratford Mountains Club's Manganui Lodge. The club dates back to the 1930s and the current lodge was rebuilt in the early 2000s after a major storm.
Taranaki is coming into sight. Beautiful peak covered with the white snow. Tomorrow is going to be a sunny day. We're going to get some better shots of this beautiful volcano.
Sunrise the next morning was incredible. From the plateau, Mount Taranaki lit up in soft orange color, and in the distance, the peaks of Tongariro stood out on the horizon, one of the most memorable views of our entire trip.
So it's about 6:30 at the moment. So the peak of sunrise is almost gone. And here's a mighty Taranaki. It's definitely the best campsite we stayed in northern New Zealand, this one.
This was one of the most memorable hikes of our North New Zealand trip, and for two completely different reasons. The Mangawhero track is a long, steady climb through regenerating mountain cedar and kamahi forest with what feels like an endless stretch of wooden steps and boardwalks. The scenery barely changes for the most of the ascent, and it definitely ended up being one of the least exciting trails we walked in New Zealand.
The trail is very, how to say it politely. It's boring to say the least. Yeah, it's just same old, so we can't wait to get to the top.
But the moment you break out of the trees near Pouakai Hut, everything changes. The views suddenly open up over the coastline, and from the hut you can see all the way to New Plymouth with Paritutu Rock sitting proudly on the horizon. It's an incredible spot for a lunch break. From there is just a short stroll to the first mountain lookout, where you finally get that epic, unobstructed view of the Mount Taranaki. And if you continue another 15 minutes down the track, you reach the famous Pouakai Tarns, where on a calm day, the perfectly still water reflects Taranaki like a mirror. It's one of the most beautiful places we saw on the entire trip and a perfect spot to end the walk. So yes, this trail is definitely a grind, but the final view is on another level, and it is absolutely worth putting up with every meter of that wooden boardwalk. White Cliffs Walkway is a great little stop if you live in the Taranaki region. It's about 11 kilometers off the main road near Urenui, so it's an easy detour, and the white sandstone cliffs are definitely worth seeing even if you don't have the time for the full trail. You do need to time your visit with the low tide because part of the route follows the beach and there's no safe exit once you commit. Unfortunately, during our visit the water level was very high, so we weren't able to walk the beach. We only capture a few beautiful aerial shots to show you the white cliffs from the above. As we drove north along the Taranaki coast, we made a quick stop at the Three Sisters and Elephant Rock. The tide was high, so we didn't walk to see the cliffs up close, but it turned out to be a really good lunch spot. The coastal rock here is made of white sandstone, eroded over time by wind and waves into these rugged forms. When the tide is low, you can actually walk really close to these rock formations, but on a high tide like ours, we just admire it from above and capture a few aerial shots. We are now heading into my favorite region in all of North New Zealand, the place I was most excited about, Tongariro National Park. We based ourselves at the Whakapapa village campsite for a few nights. One short but beautiful walk we checked out was the track to Tawhai Falls, also known as Gollum's Pool. The walk starts 4 kilometers below the Tongariro National Park Visitor Center in the Whakapapa village, and it's an easy 10-15 minute stroll to the waterfall lookout. Tawhai Falls is better known to Lord of the Rings fans as Gollum's Pool, the filming spot from the Two Towers, where Faramir's men spy on Gollum fishing. The waterfall spills over old lava rocks, and the whole scene feels straight out of Middle Earth. Next stop is Meads Wall, one of the most dramatic viewpoints in Tongariro National Park. The walk starts up in a Iwikau village right behind the Skywaka gondola and follows a short and easy track across the alpine terrain. Even though it's just a few minutes from the car park, the landscape instantly feels wild and dramatic, with huge lava fields stretching out in front of you. This spot is instantly recognizable to any Lord of the Ring fan. Meads Wall doubled as Emyn Muil, the harsh landscape that Frodo and Sam struggle through at the start of their journey with Gollum. The volcanic cliffs here match the exact look from the films. From the viewpoint you also get that classic shot of Mount Naruhoi, famously known as Mount Doom, looming over the horizon. Mangawhero Falls is located along the Ohakune mountain road, about 13 kilometers up from the town. The trail starts right near the road, and within a couple of minutes you are standing at the lookout with a perfect view of the waterfall. Mangawhero Falls drops into a beautiful round basin, and the rock layers around the waterfall are shaped by old lava flows from Ruapehu, slowly carved out by the Mangawhero River over thousands of years. Mangawhero Falls was used as part of the Forbidden Pool scene in Lord of the Rings Two Towers, where Gollum is catching a fish before Frodo and Faramir appear. The final moment in the film combines the real waterfall with some CGI, but knowing this waterfall was featured in the movie gives the place an extra bit of magic. The next hike on the list is Waitonga Falls, one of the biggest highlights along the Ohakune mountain road. The track starts by weaving through beautiful forest before opening out onto an elevated boardwalk across the Rotokawa wetland. On a clear day, the whole area acts like a mirror with Mount Ruapehu reflected in the pools below, and it feels like a completely different landscape compared to the forest you just walked through. Part of this track overlaps with the Round the Mountain multi-day route, so it has a slightly more remote feel to it. The official viewpoint at the end of the trail sits a small distance away from the waterfall, but it gives you a good look at the upper sections as the water drops down the tall cliff. There's also an unmarked but very steep route that lets you reach the base. We decided to check it out, and the view from the bottom was fantastic. Standing right below the falls really shows how tall and dramatic it is. Out of the all waterfalls I visited in Tongariro National Park, Waitonga Falls ended up being my favorite. The variety of scenery along the way and the chance to see the falls from few different angles made it one of the best stops of the entire region.
Mr. Froggy!
We've got a little bit of a frog concert to close this video off.
One of the walks I enjoy most near Whakapapa village was the Silica Rapids loop. I headed out late in the evening, just as the sun was dropping behind the mountains. Perfect timing because the trail was almost empty and the warm light settled beautifully over Mount Taranaki and Mount Naruhoi. The path leads you through dense mountain beech forest beside a stream that glitters with rich golden deposits. Those colors come from iron oxide clay that washes into the water from the surrounding swamps. Higher up, the Waikare stream widens into terraces coated in creamy white silica deposits. These are the famous Silica Rapids. They are formed when the water flows out from ancient lava cliffs rich in aluminum and silicate minerals. When the stream becomes turbulent and gains oxygen, these minerals are forced out of solution and settle on rock surfaces, creating the distinctive white silica effect. Beyond the rapids, the track rises onto an ancient lava flow draped in tussock and hardy subalpine shrubs. On a clear evening, the views open right up to the mountains, and the mix of volcanic rock, forest, and alpine scenery gives this little walk a surprisingly magical feel. Next up is Tama Lakes via Taranaki Falls, one of the most epic walks in Tongariro National Park. The trail starts from Whakapapa village, climbs up through forest and past the powerful Taranaki Falls. Taranaki is one of the first highlights of the loop track, a 20-meter waterfall pouring over an ancient andesite lava flow that spilled down from Mount Taranaki around 15,000 years ago. The cliffs here are classic andesite, slow cooling rock that forms long vertical cracks and deep grooves as it shrinks, giving the falls those striking ribbed walls. After spending time at Taranaki Falls, we continue along the loop, though it's worth mentioning that while we walked to the falls together, I was the only one who carried on to complete the full track. The section beyond the waterfall is definitely the longest and most challenging part of the walk. The trail winds up and down across open volcanic terrain with absolutely no tree cover, so if you are doing it on a hot summer day, prepare for full exposure to the sun. Lower Tama Lake is the first major highlight, a large explosion crater filled with striking blue water surrounded by steep crater walls. From there, the trail climbs again, weaving through scattered volcanic rock and wind-shaped ridges until you reach the upper viewpoint. Final lookout is the real payoff. From the edge, you get the perfect line of sight over Lower Tama, framed by Mount Taranaki in the distance, a truly iconic Tongariro view. It's one of the finest vistas in the region, and making it all the way to the end of the track is absolutely worth every step.
absolutely nuts. Crazy. And about doom, yeah. Oh my god. This is the thing I'm gonna remember for the rest of my life.
The Tongariro Alpine Crossing is considered as one of the best day hikes in the world, and for us it was the absolute focal point of our entire North Island trip. I had been looking forward to this more than anything else, and somehow it still managed to exceed every expectation I had.
So the day has finally arrived that we're gonna do the Tongariro Alpine Crossing. So this is the most exciting for me, most exciting day in New Zealand. I sort of planned the entire itinerary around this one, so we end up in this part of New Zealand when it gets a little bit warmer. It's actually getting warmer as we arrived to the village.
We had prepared ourselves mentally for huge crowds, but it honestly wasn't bad at all. Our shuttle driver told us that around 400 people would be on the trail that day, which is nothing compared to the peak of the summer, where up to 2,500 people hike it in a single day, so for such a famous walk it felt surprisingly quiet. From the very first steps the weather was perfect, and because it wasn't yet full summer, there were pockets of snow scattered across the peaks and along parts of the trail. It added this amazing alpine feel and made everything look even more dramatic. As you climb higher, the views open up fast, and on a clear, calm morning like ours, you can see right across the valley and all the way to Mount Taranaki in the distance. At the top of the staircase, the trail levels out as you cross the South Crater, a massive flat basin that looks nothing like a crater until you're standing inside it. It's this huge open desert of ash and rock sitting between towering volcanic walls.
Struggle is real down here. Come on. No more fuel in tank, I guess. It's towards the end. Towards the end of our trip.
From there, the second big climb begins, the ascent to the Red Crater Ridge. This section is steep, narrow and exposed in places, but completely worth the effort. When you reach the rim, you get to experience one of the most iconic views in New Zealand, the red crater glowing with deep iron-rich reds and oranges, and below it, the famous Emerald Lakes.
Striking.
Once you reach the lakes, you can walk right along the edges between the sulfur venting from the ground and the stark volcanic earth. The scenery here feels like it belongs on another planet. Once you reach the shores of the Blue Lake, it's another perfect place to slow down. After passing the Blue Lake, the character of the hike changes completely. The trail gradually transitions from high volcanic desert to alpine ridges. You traverse wide open slopes with huge views over Lake Taupo in the distance before eventually dropping into a green bush filled with ferns, streams and shade. By the time we reached the end of the track, it honestly felt like we walked through 3 different worlds in a single day. For me, the Tongariro Alpine Crossing wasn't just the best hike of our trip, it was one of the best hikes I have ever done anywhere. The perfect weather, the calm conditions, the snow-dusted peaks and the views that just kept getting better. It was everything I hoped for and more. We spent the entire day on this trail from 7 AM until 6 PM, moving at a super relaxed pace, just soaking in the views and making the most of the perfect conditions. If you're visiting North New Zealand, Tongariro Alpine Crossing is an absolute must-do and completely deserving of its world-class reputation. And that wraps up our North New Zealand hiking highlights. If you'd like a closer look at the van we hired for our 3-week road trip, I've linked a full review down in the description box. You also find a link to my complete New Zealand playlist, where you can watch detailed videos of all of the hikes featured in this guide. I have also included a link to the article on my website with all of the maps and details for every trail we covered today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.